All
All right, I'm about to go live in a few minutes.
right.
All right, we're good. Welcome to the Wall Street Rundown.
Yeah, welcome to another episode of the Wall Street Rundown. Today is Friday, February 21st, and we're excited to be here, man. So talk to me a little bit about today, man. We saw the market kind of came down like crazy. So S&P fell 1.7%. Same thing with the Dow Jones. The Nasdaq came down 2.2%. So we saw some huge drops today in the market. What are your sentiments going into next week, or basically just the whole overview of what happened today?
So I didn't get a chance to really trade today. I had a swing that I closed pretty much at open this morning. I had to take a test today, so I wasn't really monitoring the markets that closely. But a headline that did not get a lot of news today that I just want to bring to people's attention, and I just want to piece together my rationale why we should not ignore it. So, there was some news that I guess some sort of like coronavirus 2.0 might have been discovered in China that
Mm,
has the possibility to spread like the last coronavirus. So that was the headline, right? Then I started to dig a little bit deeper to see, is this something that we should be worried about? So let me give you a couple of observations that I made. Number one, go look at some of the pharmaceutical companies like Pfizer, Moderna, Amgen, and I think Novavax, all up today, right? Then go look at bond yields and TLT. Those bond yields moved down, TLT went up. So the headline that I saw on most of the major news outlets was people were scared about growth, that, GDP might come in a little bit light next week because we saw consumer spending come down. We saw Walmart give kind of weak guidance. They got pretty hit pretty hard. We're starting to see high levels of consumer debt. So bond yields came down. But to me, bond yields coming down could anticipate, or maybe bond traders are thinking, if this virus or whatever starts to get legs, if there is some substance behind this headline, the Fed might have to cut rates again like they did in the last pandemic. So all of those things mixed together, like I said, I'm not in China. I don't have contacts in China. I don't know all the details. But to me, when you see all of those pharmaceutical stocks going up while the entire market is selling off, I mean, I think the only thing green on my watch list, I think, was like McDonald's. That was it. So, um, yeah, that's basically how I feel. Is this is something we should be looking at
right.
and be aware of. Yeah, so that's where I stand right now. And this, I think, what was today the worst day of the year so far with the sell
Yep.
off today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, though, surprisingly, if you look at Baba, if you look at some of those things, they were kind of like going up like crazy yesterday. I didn't get a chance to look at Baba today, but Baba is one of those Chinese companies. They were actually doing pretty fine. Yesterday they gapped up. Today they gapped up. I mean, if you look yesterday, we gapped up to like almost 145 in Baba before we got kind of rejected a little bit. Today we touched that high again, right?
Hmm.
So uh, does China not care what's going on? And if you look at the Chinese ETF, I forgot, I think it's called GLL, something like that, or GIL. It was, I forgot what the ETF is, but even that ETF was up too. So looking at China and looking at the news that we are hearing here, how come, in your opinion, I guess, like, why is the Chinese stocks kind of moving up a little bit more than, for example, what the American stocks are moving and stuff?
So what I have seen that has been driving the China stocks higher is if you look at um, David Tepper, one of the biggest hedge funds managers out there,
Yep.
when he reviewed some of his positions, he was heavily invested in China. You also look at Michael Burry, who was one of the guys from The Big Short, and you look at his portfolio, and they just recently filed. he's got a lot of investments in China. I think that's
Hmm.
a big bulk of his portfolio. So the what do I call them? The high frequency, automatic robot traders. When they see that, they probably chasing those returns and thinking, okay, well, if Michael Burry and Appaloosa, who who is run by David Tepper, they're invested in China, then we want to get a piece of the pie. So, I mean, that's what I've seen as the catalyst. Now, why they didn't sell off today, I do not know. That's a very, very good question. It's a very good question because I'm looking at JD was up,
Yeah.
Baba was up.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like they didn't care about what the news is, what the problem is. Like they were just up, So I guess
yeah,
for me, it's like it's
yeah,
it's 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 a major thing. It's like, okay, if this thing is really happening in China, then we should have seen, China be affected even more, right?
yeah.
So um
The only thing I'll say is that they came off the highs. Like Neo came off the highs, Li came off the highs. So, and a lot of these Chinese stocks, the way they trade, they just gap up or gap down.
yeah, they don't really have it in between, like literally.
Like it's either a gap up or a gap down.
Yep.
So yeah, PDD, all of these China stocks were up. So I don't know. That's a very good question. Very, very good question. So we'll just have to wait and see, man. But it's just one of those things where I've been saying is headline risk, man. Every time we see a VIX below 15, what do we see? And
Yep.
we were talking about this in the trading group for the last 3 days.
Yep.
We saw some heavy, heavy VIX call buying.
Yep.
And today the VIX was up, what, 16, 18% today?
Yep. Yep. Hmm. I mean, the VIX, I think we hit that number. Hold on, what did we go up to today? Yeah, we literally hit that $18. And I remember I sent that screenshot. I was like, there's a lot of VIX buying here, buddy. Like, I don't know what's happening. And literally, that was happening yesterday. You know what I mean? All
Gotcha.
those buys was happening yesterday, and then all of a sudden, it literally hit that $18. It went up to like $19, and then it came back down. You know what I mean? So it's still elevated, even at close. Like we didn't retract. We retract maybe 1%, but we did not retract at all. We stayed up there. So
Yeah.
does that mean we still have more to go? I don't know. It's like it's gonna be very
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm not just looking at the chart right now, how it traded, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna sit here and say that the VIX is done. I
Yeah.
mean, that was a very, very strong upside move on the VIX.
Yep.
If we break above 1850, 1860, I will not be surprised if we see a $20 VIX. So I've got my eye on that.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
we got to like 19 and then we got rejected from there. You know what I mean? So yeah, but we didn't see a crazy pullback either. So it's like, yes,
no,
we did
no.
track a little bit, but it didn't really like go up. So
Yeah, let me look at one more chart real quick.
yeah, while you're looking at that, so most of the sectors were pretty down today, except for consumer staples are actually surprisingly up. If you look at
Mhm.
XLP, they were pretty up actually. So in XLP, you see things like uh, you know, General Mills, Kraft, all of that stuff. That was actually up today, which is surprising. But everything else, utility was up a little bit, but everything else was down.
Yeah.
Communication down 1.37%. XLY consumer discretionary was down 2.63%. Energy 2.08. Financial 1.23. Healthcare pulled back a little bit, even though we had some good moves on there, like Moderna, Pfizer, G&G, all of those stuff kind of like went up. Merck went up also. And I forgot to send you the Merck flow. Merck actually has some good flow yesterday. Like
Mhm.
it's and I was like, whoa, that's a big one.
And
It
it and it and the thing, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was gonna say XLI is down to 2.1%. Materials, I was shocked. I thought materials would be up 1.8% down. Real estate, of course, is down. Technology, 2.71%. So almost every sector is down except for XLP, which is
So
crazy.
just know that with XLP during Pandemic times, who was open? The grocery store.
That's
all
nuts.
the all the essential items that people needed, they still gonna buy those things. So
Yeah,
that it does.
people were buying toilet paper. That's the one thing I still cannot understand. Why were people hoarding toilet paper? Like, I don't understand. You know what I mean? There's a reason why I installed a bidet in my house. Like, I ain't doing that shit. I was like, nope, we have a bidet. That's it.
I might have to make a Costco run this weekend and have to start hoarding just to be safe.
Don't be surprised if there's a line. Don't be
I would
surprised.
not be. I would not be. See, I will say this though. No, I don't think any major news headlines was
The
talking about
report.
what about that report. I
Yep.
got my report from the Economics Times, and there was some other credible outlets that I saw, but no CNBC, no CNN, and I did
Yep.
not see anything on Washington. I mean, the Wall Street Journal. Didn't see anything on New York Times. So I'm pretty sure Trump has been briefed on it. I'm pretty sure he's been told not to say nothing until they get more detail. But
Yep. Yep.
if we get another 2.0 situation, that is not going to be good
It's gonna
in
be
the short term, but in the long run, that's you need to put your thinking cap on and start thinking, okay, I'm not going to catch the bottom, but I want to be in a position to ride the wave back up
right.
because we saw how
Right.
quickly the wave came back last time
Yep.
when the Fed cut rates to zero. So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's it's bad and good at the same time, right? Because short term is definitely going to be bad, unless
Yes.
if you know how to play both sides, you can definitely get some crazy puts onto the downside. I've seen some people hitting on crazy numbers today on some puts. I was able to catch a put on Carvana. That was a nice puts coming down. I saw some people catch a puts on Spy. The other crazy one was PLTR. Some people catch some great puts on PLTR. There's another puts on like there's the market was basically that's kind of dropping today. You know what I mean? So if you were anticipating this drop, you definitely would have caught some good stuff.
Yeah, everything got smoked today. Everything. Like I can't even like I said, the only thing I see that went green on my screen were the Modernas, the Pfizers, the Mercks,
Uh-huh.
the Amgens, and then randomly McDonald's,
Hey,
and then PG&E, but everything else got absolutely hammered. So
yeah,
I will say, you know, as a trader, you got a decision to make. You either want to ride the wave down and make money on the downside, or wait until we start to find a bottom and maybe catch a reversal to the upside.
yeah,
So,
yep,
you know, you just got to be patient. You got to know what type of trader you are and, you know, have a strategy going in. But I will say with an elevated VIX at this level, probably got to be a little bit more cautious about how you're trading, especially if you want to swing something overnight.
right, right. Um, the other thing that dropped like crazy also was I think it was United Health. I think the government said they're opening up investigation on them. But if you see that drop, man,
That
like
drop got bought though.
it got bought back up. But if you would have caught that drop from yesterday going to today, like,
Whew. Yeah, you had a double inside on daily too,
yep.
and it just got a nasty drop. Another company that's being investigated or sued is Coinbase. I
Ooh,
saw I saw that the SEC is looking into Coinbase. Coinbase actually was down 8% today. I'm pretty sure some of it had to do with the overall market selling off, and part of it had probably had to do with the headline of that lawsuit. But um, you're starting to see a couple stocks starting to trade below their 200-day moving average. That's not always a good sign. So um, that's also something to monitor on because let me take a look. RSP, SPY, and QQQ are probably a little bit away from trading near there. So I wouldn't be too cautious there. But one index that did trade through its 200-day moving average
WM.
was IWM. And I might be looking for IWM puts next week just to see if this sell off continues to have legs.
Yeah, that's a
The
crazy
la
drop.
Yeah, crazy drop on IWM today. So, but yeah, I'm just I don't want to make any judgments. I don't want to make any assumptions. But my thing is when you see stuff like this, do not ignore it completely and just turn a blind eye
Right.
because I'll never forget in 2020 when we first had the first issue with COVID. I was sitting in a retirement educational seminar with a group of doctors in Sacramento, going through the presentation, watching the headlines and seeing the market sell off. But no one was really talking about it. It was all, everybody was kind of pushing it under the rug, pushing it under the rug, nothing to worry about. And then come March, we had a completely different sentiment once it started hitting some of the European companies and
Yep.
I mean European countries, and everybody started paying attention. So be just my thing is just don't turn a blind eye. Be very, how should I put it? Be very up to date as far as what's going on. So
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
may it may not hit any mainstream news for a couple days, but I make sure you check other news outlets, reliable news outlets, just to make sure that if stuff starts spinning, then we don't have no issues. So
Right. But overall, I mean, overall, we've always been talking about this. What's actually going to cause this market to get off this high? You know what I mean? We all know
hmm
the market has been running like crazy. We all know that. But what's actually going to cause it to come off its high? You know, it has to be something drastic. We talked about possibly interest rate. We talked about the tariff. The tariffs came and went. The market didn't budge. You know what I mean? All the tariff threats and all this stuff, the market did not budge. You know, we talked about pausing on interest rate and all this stuff. The market didn't budge. Like, so it has to be something outside catastrophic that's going to cause us. Because even if you got to think about it in 2024, all these wars, none of them really caused the market to do anything crazy. It might have like had a couple of days of sellout, but it's like we didn't see sellout to the
hmm
degree what we saw back in 2020, where we literally SPY was getting halted, QQQ was going to halt it. Like a lot of those big indexes that they were all getting halted because people were selling like crazy. You know what I mean? So are we gonna get the same type of sell off? I don't know, man.
So I'll say this: if this virus stuff gets anything like remotely close to what we saw in 2020, we're in
Mm,
trouble. The
yeah,
market's in trouble. The tariff stuff, the thing that the market can't gauge yet is the impact because nothing to me, at least for now, hasn't gone into effect. It's just more so threats. I'm
right,
gonna do this if you don't do this. I'm gonna do this if you don't do this. Once tariffs go into effect and they get implemented, if the data starts to show that CPI or PPI starts to move higher, that's not going to be a good thing. Because again, if the Fed has to raise rates, I keep saying this, right now we're not there yet. But if at any point this year, if we get a rate hike, the market will sell off. No questions or ifs about it. The market will sell off
right,
if we get a rate hike. Another thing that we also still have to wait and see, all of these federal employees are getting laid off.
right,
All of these other private sector folks that are getting laid off, when will they start showing up in the unemployment numbers?
right, right,
If they start showing up in the unemployment numbers, that's not going to be a good thing either. So the problem with unemployment, though, and the problem with CPI and the problem with PPI is that they're all backwards looking. They're looking at previous months' data. So it's going to be hard to forecast what's going to happen in the future. So those are just going to be items that you have to start paying attention to. I think I saw Trump said that there's going to be a 25% tariff on automobiles going into effect April 2nd.
yeah,
So whether or not he changes his stance on that, we're in February, we don't know. But that's going into effect April 2nd. What
yep,
I'm seeing is that he's made all these threats, but he's been kind of pushing stuff back a little bit, right? So again, this is why I keep saying that right now, at least for what I'm seeing, it's a negotiating tactic for the time being to kind of get what he wants from you know, from those countries that are trade partners. So
Right.
if we get to a point where it actually goes into effect and it says, okay, tariffs have been imposed on blah, 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 then we have to wait and see what does that translate to a consumer standpoint. But I will say from a consumer standpoint, if Walmart is saying that they have are giving weak guidance, I would not take that information lightly. I don't take the high consumer credit balances lightly either.
Right. Right.
And I don't take the information about what's going on in commercial real estate lightly. So, in my opinion, all of those things are potential catalysts to bring the market back down. We just don't know how much or when those things could happen.
Right. 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 So I mean, all you take all these things into account is like second quarter. How things gonna look like? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Once all these things that we have been dealing with in the first quarter, the layoffs, the tariffs, the all these restrictions, like how's that actually gonna show up in the books in the second quarter? I think that's what like you're right. That's what we're gonna start seeing. Like, okay, how do we react to this now? You know what I mean? So it's coming.
Yeah, another thing too that I will say is just from a basic standpoint, the market does not like uncertainty, period. The market just likes to know what it's getting into as it chugs along.
Right.
Once there becomes all of these variables that are kind of pulling strings and pulling the market in different directions, this is when you get volatility. So again, in 18 VIX, you can't ignore it. You have to be very, very cautious. Now, personally, what I am doing and what I did today, I put on a couple hedges on my long-term positions.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have to know that if we do get a market pullback or we get a major catalyst to the downside for whatever reason, one thing you want to be in a position to do is A, maybe you make money on the way down, but B, you want to be in a position to be a part of the rebound when it happens.
Yeah.
We don't know when it's going to happen, but I always say this market uptrends last longer than market downtrends.
Okay. Yep.
Downtrends are very temporary in nature. They happen, then they stop. But the uptrend, those things tend to have a longer life cycle in the long run. So I will always tell people if you're patient, if you wait things out, when opportunity arises, you'll know how to position yourself to ride that rebound when it happens if we get a significant pullback. So you can't always just think of things from what's going to happen between next week and this week and what's going to happen between this month and this month. The long-term mindset is still what wins in the market 9 times out of 10. So don't neglect that completely, especially if you're used to just trading.
I mean, but it's still a market drop presents an opportunity, right? So, like you say, you just gotta be ready for it, so you can take it
Yep.
back, and bounce back up. Um, speaking of downtrend, I'll send you that article. Bybit is a cryptocurrency exchange. They have experienced a security breach that resulted in about 1.4 billion Ethereum tokens. $1.4 billion worth of Ethereum tokens from its cold wallet. I mean, I'm getting like different um different take into this. Some people say it's a cold wallet, some people say it's hot wallet. The difference between cold wallet and hot wallet is always online. Cold wallet is like something that you just, it's not connected to online until you connect it to like a desktop or a Wi-Fi or something, right? So it looks like this one, it says it's been stolen from a cold wallet, which I don't know how that would happen. It needs to be a hot in order for it to be a hack, unless somebody got a hold of it physically.
Mm.
So far, this is considered one of the largest in history for a digital asset wallet. So it's definitely causing a lot of people to kind of like rethink about the crypto world and all that stuff. But potentially how that's going to impact Coinbase, how's that going to impact Bitcoin and all this stuff, it's still left to be seen. So
How you hack an exchange to me, like that's just a wild concept.
yeah.
Like anytime I think about someone hacking an exchange, what comes to mind is what Bane did in Batman.
You
when
just
they,
walk
when
in
they
there.
when they they wrote up into the stock exchange and they took all of the money and they did it through like the Wi-Fi network and all that stuff.
Yeah. Hacking is
So
sophisticated these days, man. I mean, you can do it by, getting access to somebody's account, like somebody who
mhm.
works at the exchange, or you can piggyback off of IP address, or if you know like how to, like if you send somebody like a malicious something and they click on it by
Yeah,
accident.
yeah, yep, yep.
Because so hacking like this, it takes years and months to plan. So they've probably been hacked for a long time. It just now they're finally able to see it because it looks like the hackers actually took those Ethereum and like started sending it to like different wallet because you can see what wallet this
Oh
money is going
wow,
into. So now
wow.
it's harder to trace because you can if you can send it to 36 different wallet, then from that 36 wallet, you turn it to another different wallet. So it's like now you have all these bitcoins all over the place. I mean, all this crypto all over the place. So it's like this took some time. It took some planning. It wasn't something that just happened overnight.
I'm also starting to see headlines, and I don't have any verified information on it, that a lot of institutions are buying Bitcoin ETFs now and putting money
Yes,
in Bitcoin.
that
Um,
is in
I,
countries.
I,
Countries too
I
starting to do it.
yeah, I looked at Bitcoin right now. It's trading around what 95,000.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. I don't know all of the ins and outs of Bitcoin, but when I see that crypto exchanges are being hacked and robbed, the question I have is, can someone hack an exchange like Coinbase or
oh,
Gemini
oh,
that houses tons of Bitcoin of countries, and then that money just disappears and cripples that country?
it's absolutely doable. If you talk to like all head bitcoins, they don't store this stuff in Coinbase or any of the exchanges. They literally
Mm,
have it looks like a thumb drive. They have a thumb drive that have their Bitcoin stored in there, right?
mm.
And whenever they buy more, they plug it in, store it in there, and like so that's why they call like hot. I mean, they call it
The
cold.
hot and cold wallet. Yep.
Yeah, they call it cold wallet because the only time you can really be online if you plug into something, right? To be able to retrieve the rest of your Bitcoin and stuff. Like
But
I
I
said,
feel
if you talk to the all head Bitcoins, they don't have their Bitcoins in like exchanges.
But I feel like isn't that more so to people who hold like a ton of Bitcoin? And
Mhm.
I would assume that a country like El Salvador, I think it's El Salvador that's really been big on Bitcoin. I would assume that all their Bitcoin is on a cold wallet.
I don't think so. They have to use exchanges. Because
Oh,
if you use a cold wallet, the problem with cold wallet is it takes a long time for you to be able to use it, right? Because you have to transfer it from because you can't take your cold wallet and use it in the store.
no.
You have to take your cold wallet, transfer some Bitcoin to an exchange, and then be able to use it, right?
Mm.
So countries just bypass that, just like, hey, give me a secure exchange to put all my money in, right? Now, if they're smart, yes, I hope they put it in a cold wallet so that way it's not getting hacked or whatever. But like I said, a lot of times if a country's actively using the bitcoins to buy stuff or for the economy, I mean, I cannot imagine it just being on a cold wallet because that means you're not online. So,
Well, I really hope nobody hacks MSTR Bitcoin because that's their whole business.
bro, like, that will be crazy. That will be crazy. So, there's another interesting story to about crypto has just been in the news this day. So there's an interesting news that came out of Argentina. So Argentina's president got in touch with somebody who created like an Argentinian cryptocurrency. It's called Libra or something like that.
Hmm.
Within 24 hours, that thing hit like I think $800 million. I forgot what it is, but it hit like a crazy amount of number. But within 5 minutes, the whole thing got wiped out. Rug pull. So whoever created that Libra coin in conjunction with the Argentinian president just pulled the rug and took all the money. Yeah. And people are excited because like, oh, Argentina, they got their own coin. They're going to create coin, like those like meme stuff. Like people just like invest in it without even looking at it. So yeah. within like few minutes, all that money was gone. It's crazy, you know.
Yeah,
So
I mean, like I said, I'm not a crypto enthusiast. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. I kind of just know enough about it to talk about it at a high level.
yeah,
But when I hear stuff like that, I'm just kind of like, is it something that you want to say will replace the dollar? Or is it like,
yeah,
is this something because you can hack it? Is this something that you really want to be making transactions on?
yeah. So
I start to get a little bit wary about that.
so I think the crypto itself cannot be hacked, but the exchanges that is
The
hosted,
exchanges, gotcha.
they could be hacked, right? Because it takes a long time for you to even like that's that's the whole thing about cryptos. Like it takes a long time for you to be able to hack the wallet. So if you have a wallet itself, it's going to take a long time to hack that wallet to be able to get in access into that wallet, right? That code that they give you, that long code,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's not easy for somebody to just be able to like hack into your wallet, be able to steal, your Bitcoin,
Mm.
right? But I think in a few years, with the advancement of quantum computing, I really think Bitcoin is going to be in trouble, right? Because Bitcoin was built with the assumption that based on our current technology, it's going to take X amount of years for anybody to try to hack into a wallet. Let's say it takes 100 years, right? But in quantum computing, if they can crack those code in 7 days, 5 days, 3 days or less, I mean, those wallets are gonna be they're gonna be in trouble, right? So now you're gonna have to add another layer of security on top of your wallet. And we talked a lot about this. Cybersecurity is gonna become important. Now, cryptography or crypto security is gonna be a thing that's coming soon. Like
I wonder who. Go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, mark my word, as soon as the quantum computing comes out, you're gonna see those cybersecurity companies are gonna start saying like we have crypto security and all these different things.
I wonder who is the current leader in crypto exchange cybersecurity. Who do these people go to? Like, who does Coinbase use? Who does, Binance? Well, Binance. I know the founder of Binance is kind of in trouble, so I don't know if they're reliable. Who does Robinhood use? Like all of these exchanges, I kind of want to know who the go-to cybersecurity um, solution
Mm-hmm.
vendor is, because those things are going to be very, 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 very important if big institutional people are going to be players in buying the crypto.
Right, right, right.
Um, like who does MSTR use to kind of keep their stuff safe? Like who are they kind of partnered with? So that might be a research project for me to look into. But I don't know. I get what crypto is and what it's for. But man, and I hear some of these stories about people who have these wallets and they forget their passwords and they get all this money just trapped in there. Man, that's a depressing situation to be in. So I've always just had questions about the security in
Right, right.
general. So, but I think we have not seen yet is we have not seen a major exchange like a Coinbase get hacked. We have not seen Robinhood get hacked.
Right. That doesn't mean
I
there's no attempts, right? It's happening on a regular
Oh
basis.
yeah, I'm pretty sure. Shoot. Yeah, I'm
So
pretty sure. We haven't seen, I think Gemini was another one that I don't know if has been hacked or not yet. But just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean that somebody isn't working on it as we speak right now.
yeah, because then what prevent them from hacking into like let's say a Fidelity or
hmm
TD Ameritrade or one of those exchanges that actually does stocks and stuff. Like what prevents them from doing that? So I
Yeah.
think just the level of security, I guess, at those financial companies is a little bit more higher, but that doesn't mean that somebody's not actively trying to get in there. You
Oh
know?
yeah, I've heard of some retirement plans that have been hacked for
Yeah.
sure. I've heard of them. And the thing that usually happens with those hacks is that one of the administrators accidentally gives access to the person, makes it a lot easier for them to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of quantum computing, Microsoft getting a lot of headlines about their new quantum chip, um,
Mm.
Majorna or Majora. think that's the name. And there's been a lot of talk that they might be starting to take the lead in this space. Um, when you look at Microsoft today, it was down about 2%, which
Yeah,
is
they were down today. Yeah, they hit that 20 day EMA and then just like got crushed from there.
yeah. So let me look at Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft, yeah, got was down today, but that adds another big name in the quantum space, which gives me more, I would say, inclination that some of these smaller players are probably just going to get bought out
Yep.
because Microsoft, Google, IBM are three large companies with tons of resources in the quantum space.
Yep.
I don't know IonQ, Quantum, and Rigetti. I don't know. Like,
I think they're gonna get bought off. Like
I
Ion Curry, Getty. I think there's another one called D Wave. Like
yeah,
they're all gonna, yeah.
because to me they're small companies with limited resources.
Yep.
I haven't heard anything groundbreaking from them. And when you got a big player like Microsoft, who has really, I mean, I've seen it all over Instagram. Like they're talking about this chip and how revolutionary it is and how it can outsmart all of the supercomputers in the world. If Microsoft is already there, I mean, if I'm a small company, it's kind of like, I don't know. To me, I would look at it like, some AAU team playing the 95 Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
that's something.
it's called Majorna One Chip.
Yeah. Hmm.
Hey, yeah, it's gonna happen, man.
So if that's a big step for Microsoft, that's a tech company that I would be bullish on. Now, the thing is, again, having the technology is one thing, creating a use case and a
Yes.
system that makes it sellable, completely different. Completely different.
Yeah.
So you can have the technology, that's nice and dandy, but if you don't create demand for that technology, you don't create a use case for that technology, it does you no good. Ask IBM about Watson.
I
I will
mean,
always use that as an example. So it's all going to be about who can figure it out. Who
yeah.
can figure it out?
But on
And
top of that, you gotta add timing too, right? It's like timing
timing is
has
very important. Timing is important. Yes.
even when we talk about energy and stuff, right? Like we talk about energy a lot, but it's like the timing is probably more viable now to start talking about, like things like nuclear energy and all this stuff because we are outpacing our energy usage, right? If they had like nuclear energy from back in the day, I mean, it would be great, but it's like the use for it won't be as much as is needed right now. You
Yep.
know,
Hmm.
timing now is perfect. So you see a lot of people dedicating more resources to it. So same thing I think with quantum computing. Same thing I think even with AI. AI timing was perfect right now. We needed more advanced technology to be able to do things that that we can do that will take us years to do. AI can do in like a few minutes or so.
Yeah.
So again, I think timing is a big thing when it comes to those things.
I'll also say this. I read somewhere that this year data centers are going to be 20% of the entire United States energy usage.
Huh? Mm-hmm.
The power grid we have is very, very, very old. The infrastructure is old. Um, and as I hear this, I keep telling myself that I must stay bullish on Aklo, even after a week where it went from what 59 down to 30, ooh,
Yeah.
37 and some change.
Yeah.
So I marked a level that I thought we would get to today. I marked 37.56. We didn't quite get there today, but we got close.
Yeah. Really.
Um, but we basically just ran into the zone that we were at before we made that run up to 59. Now, I'm not going to say that we're going to make another run up again, but I will say that this is a story or a thesis that I'm not going to give up on any time
Yep.
soon.
Man, I
So,
didn't even realize it dropped this much. Like for people who keep saying like, did I miss on alcohol or whatever? I think, man, yeah, we are getting to that good prices right now. I mean, I think I have it going down to about maybe like $30. So I think we might have some
mm,
pops, um, but yeah, you guys were saying like, did I miss on alcohol? I mean, if you're waiting for it, you're starting to see opportunities now, you know.
oh my God, I looked at my long-term portfolio. Ooh, woo. Oh Lord. Oh man.
I didn't even look at it. I was like, nope,
I shouldn't have opened that. Oh my
I'm
God.
not even opening nothing. I just like I left it alone. It was like,
Woo. So
we,
let me put this out there. So as we start to process this sell-off, right? We're in a sell-off, everything is going down, the world is on fire. Oh my God, everyone's screaming, right?
mm-hmm.
Just understand that again, I think I've mentioned this before. These things happen from time to time. There's always some sort of major catalyst that does happen. But things start to recover at some point. We just don't know when, right?
Yeah,
We don't know when. COVID is a perfect example. The financial crisis is a perfect example where the sky was falling for a certain amount of time and then it came back.
yeah,
This is when, and I'm not saying you should go buy something come Monday or Tuesday or next week or even next month. This is when you have to start making a shopping list.
yeah.
Go put a whiteboard in your room, put something on a white paper, and start to write down good companies that are solving first world problems,
No problems.
right? Good companies that are solving problems in the world and making people's lives easier. I will always go back to the theme of AI. There's different ways to play AI. I don't think the AI theme is going anywhere.
Right.
You've got chip makers, you've got energy providers, you've got server providers, you've got cooling companies,
Mm-hmm.
you've got all kind of pieces in the puzzle, and you've got cybersecurity. To me, you should have a list of companies in those different vectors. You don't have to have, I mean, maybe two or three companies in each vector. To me, you should be fine.
Yep. Yep.
But have a list, start saving cash.
Mm-hmm.
So when you see opportunity, and again, I'm not, this is, we might sell off more. I don't know.
Right. Right.
I
Yeah.
don't have a crystal ball,
Right.
but you can always deploy that cash in small increments. Like, let's say you buy Oklo today at 39. Let's say Oklo drops to 25. You buy some more, and you start to build your position. Don't think you're going to time the bottom, build your position. So
Yep.
make your list. And, I've got Oklo in my power provider. I've got TSM and NVIDIA in my chip sector and chip designers and builders. I've got BRT, which is now under $100. It was down 8% today. Oh,
Yep.
Lord.
Yep.
In my cooling company part of the sector. So, and then you've got your cybersecurity names. You got CrowdStrike. You've got a ton of names in that space. You got Palo Alto Networks. So put things together and be prepared. Like, don't be the person that, how should I put it, that is not prepared when the opportunity arises. You want to be in a position to be prepared.
Yep.
So
Yep.
um yeah, don't let the headline scares of the sky falling take you out of the mindset of being a long-term investor and looking for opportunities. And these opportunities may not pay off right away. Always keep that in mind. Sometimes these things take time. So,
Absolutely. And I mean, it happens, right? We talked about this when we had that drop last year sometimes. We had that crazy drop last year. And we talked about the same things like be in position. We had that drop where I think
oh, August 5th. Yep.
Nvidia went to like 90 some dollars. And you're like, hey, I think it's time for you to keep an eye on those things. Like, what are you doing? And bam. Yep.
I mean, that was a crazy run from August 5th. I remember that day. I remember that day. August 5th. August 5th. Yep. Because when I woke up and the market was down, I remember typing to the group. I said, listen, this what we're seeing now, because I think what happened, I think it was a jobless claims number or
Yep. Yep. Yep.
something about the job scare number, and market sold off. But when Nvidia was under 100, VRT, I picked up VRT, Nvidia, CrowdStrike, and I think one more name. And if you look at where those stocks went from August to the end of the year,
Came right up.
came right back up. So this is a little bit different because if we have a global pandemic threat, that's different than a situation that's only happened in the United States.
Right.
So I would be very cautious about trying to jump the gun. But again, I would be putting myself in a position to be able to deploy some cash
Right.
if the opportunity arises. But monitor the situation for sure. I'm keeping an eye on that for sure.
Yeah. But I do hope that we are more ready than we were last time. You know what I mean? I feel like the last pandemic it kind of hit us out of nowhere. Nobody was ready for it. So,
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
you know,
yeah. I would assume that the White House is being briefed now,
yep,
and I would assume that if at any point they feel that there is an issue that could affect um, people here or in Western nations, they're gonna shut anything coming out of China, like
yep,
just shut it down.
yep,
And so we'll just have to wait and see. But
yep.
that's just crazy, like that this is happening again.
In Trump's administration, yet one more time. That's crazy.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, that is true. I keep forgetting that Trump was the president when it first happened, and
Yep,
then he got ousted, and then Biden came in. I keep
yep.
forgetting that.
It's nuts, man. And then Apple release, man. I was disappointed. I hope this is not it, but I think this is it. They release the iPhone 16e. I mean, I was disappointed, man. I was like, Tim, is this what you were talking about? Please don't let it be what you were talking about.
Oh, was
But
that the big announcement you think that he was talking about?
I think this was it, man. I think this was it. I'm very disappointed. I ain't gonna lie. I am very disappointed. They released an iPhone 16e that's basically have an A18 chip, one of their Apple chips with Apple Intelligence and I guess extended battery life. Like, dude, you got me too excited, and this is what you released? Are you kidding me? Oh my
I
god!
keep I keep saying this, and I will keep beating this horn. I will die on this hill until someone proves me otherwise. Apple has lost all its innovation, and Apple is no longer a growth company. Until
No.
I see something different, I'm going to die on that hill. I will die on that hill for now.
Uh,
I actually feel that, um, man, what should I say? I actually feel that Apple will only grow by acquisition from here.
yeah,
That's it. That's it.
yeah,
I think we got a question in the chat. Thoughts on CRM sell off? CRM sell off to me, let me pull up the chart real quick. Just the victim of everybody else getting clapped, in my opinion. This is a no place to hide type of sell off. So if you look at CRM, actually let me back this up a little bit and look at the 1 year chart. Yeah, CRM is moving down. I would not be surprised if it gets close to test this 200-day EMA near 345. But yeah, CRM is just a victim of everybody else getting clapped.
yeah. But on top of that, also, I think they got a downgrade, right? I feel like they got a downgrade, also on top of that. So that might be
Ooh.
the reason that they're
And
trading.
the thing I will say about CRM is that is actually surprising is they had a nice move after earnings
Yep.
and then they sold off. then made another move, but that move they made a lower high.
Mm-hmm.
So that earnings move went to 369. This high went only to about 366, so kind of close. But since then, it has been trending to the downside. And right now, all the momentum, in my opinion, is to the downside. Now, I will say that they are in an area where we saw buyers back in November of
Mm-hmm.
last year and also in, yeah, November of last year. So I would mark anywhere between 312 and 300 to see if there's any sort of reversal signals in that zone. And if there are, I would be a buyer. But if they're not, and we start to trade below 300, I'd be bearish. But right now, all the momentum is bearish.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I was trying to see if they have any flows in. Yeah. Sentiments has been bearish for a few days now.
yeah,
Even their flows, a lot of it is just bearish. So
yeah. So right now, I will say this. I am not in a position where I would say I'm confident about buying any sort of reversal just yet. I am not there yet.
yeah.
So another strategy that always, I wouldn't say always, but that you can also deploy during times of high volatility, straddles and strangles. You don't need to pick a side. All you need to do is you just need to get a big move in one direction or
One
another.
direction. Yep.
A little bit more expensive, but from a risk management standpoint, a lot easier to deploy because again, you don't care where the market goes. You just want it to go
Right.
down a lot or up a lot. You're going to have a losing side, but the winning side should make up for the losing side. So, but I will also say this too. Um, this last earnings report that we had, right? We saw a lot of big moves from stocks, but we saw a lot of high implied volatility. To me, a day like this kind of sucks out that implied volatility, which is always a good thing.
Good thing. Yes.
Always a good thing. So today we had a lot of options expire on the table.
Yep.
So that is good because what that means is with lower in implied volatility, you get cheaper options, and you also get moves that tend to be a little bit more robust because it's not all priced in.
Right.
So I will say that, let me see, where are we at right now? Yeah, I would say again, I would say that this sell off is there's some good to that, but I will also say that if we start to trade below 600 on SPY, we kind of did. But if we start to break 590, what am I looking at? 590, what is that? 598.08? No, 599, 599.20. Then I would be a little bit more cautious. I'd
Yep.
be a little bit more cautious. So again, I'm not ready to pick a side yet and say that I'm bullish or bearish. But I will say that right now, at least for what based on what we saw today, um, the Bears are kind of in control right now. So
The Bears are in control. They came with a vengeance.
yeah. So if we lose this 599 level, yeah, I'd be a little bit wary. I thought we were going to get the buy the dip folks today, but they ran out of bullets.
Yeah. They're like, forget it. Y'all can have it. Y'all can have today.
Yeah, they ran out of bullets. I didn't see the buy the dip guys today because we've been seeing that pretty much all week,
Yep.
but have not seen it.
No, not today. Today they just took a step back and were like, y'all can have today, basically. But yeah. Any other questions? I
Let me
don't see
check the
any.
chat box real quick. I don't see any questions either.
All right. I know you talked a little bit about that, but any advice going into next week before we close out, just to see like what should people focus on? I'm trying to see if there's any. Do we have any advice
Yeah, so
coming up next
two
week?
next two next week. We got GDP on the 27th.
Ooh, okay.
So GDP. So this is what I will say about GDP. We've seen weaker consumer spending. in the last report, we saw weaker consumer spending. We're seeing higher consumer debt.
Yeah.
If that starts to show up in the GDP report, that's not going to be good. If we see GDP forecasts start to be revised lower, that's not going to be good. So that's on the 27th. And then on the 28th, we have the Fed's preferred gauge of inflation, PCE,
Uh-huh.
which is on Friday before market opens at 8:30. So both reports come in the morning before the market opens. Um, I might have to put a straddle on before those days and see what happens. But I would not be surprised if those numbers came out very weak. I would not be surprised.
Right, right.
So those days, mark those on your calendar: 27th and 28th, Thursday and Friday, 5:30 Pacific time. GDP on the 27th, PCE on the 28th.
Yep. All right. I don't think we have any other questions. With that being said, I mean, today's channel, like you said, it presented good opportunities. We'll see how next week looks like. Keep an eye on that potentially virus that's moving around in China. So
Mm-hmm.
tell you like a lot of people around us, been getting sick and people been talking about, just being sick for days. So I was even sick for a couple of days, but just keep an eye on those regular flus, or that's something that's gonna cause, a major shutdown like we saw in 2020. I don't think it will. I don't think it should be gonna be that bad. But again, if it's a different virus from coronavirus, that might be different. So yeah, just keep an eye on that.
I'll also say this: in times uncertainty and high volatility, sometimes the best trade is to do nothing.
Nothing. Yes, save your money.
Some sometimes the best trade is just to watch things unfold and just wait.
Yep.
Like I said, there's always two ways to play a pullback. A, you can participate in the pullback and see if there's further downside. Or B, you can wait for it to end and catch a reversal.
Yep.
So there's
Mm.
no right or wrong answer there. It's what you're comfortable with and what you feel you want to do in that situation. So I'm the type of person who sometimes tends to wait to see if we can get a reversal. I do try to sometimes play puts from time to time, but like I said, sometimes there's no need to rush. Patience
Right.
sometimes, and sometimes you're just watching and just letting things unfold, and doing nothing. That's not a bad trade either. So
Yeah. Yeah. All right, y'all. I got nothing else. Yeah, all good. Yeah, have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday next week. So,
Wednesday next
before we
week.
go out, please go click on the link in the bio, join the group. We have
Like
some.
and subscribe. Like and subscribe. We
Yep,
got I think we got 38 subscribers already. So thank you for
yep,
those who have subscribed. We've got 38 in 2 weeks, which is not bad. So yeah, if you are looking for a group, an investment community that will help guide you and navigate you through the treacherous waters of capital markets and stocks. I've been doing this a long time, and I think I know what I'm doing.
yeah. All right, y'all. Well, y'all have a good weekend. Wale, have a good weekend, and yeah, we'll talk to you guys next week.